everybody and welcome back to the channel. I'm Jane, my husband Mike is behind the camera. We're British, early retirees, debt and mortgage free and living a thrifty, frugal and money saving life on a super tight budget here in Brittany in northwest France. And every Wednesday we open our home and invite you in for a midweek money chat. Let's take a look at what we're going to talk about this week. We've been warned here in France that prices are going to continue to rise. We've been warned that inflation isn't going to go down in a hurry. And even if inflation drops, the prices do not go down that quickly. So it would be very tempting, wouldn't it, to say, well, if the prices are going to go up, let's go out, take money out of our savings and have a massive stock up. So I'm going to talk through this week what we are going to stock up on, why we're stocking up on that, why we're not going to stock up on some things, and talk through prices and regional things for us here. Who knows, you might find it interesting. It might give you some thinking to do on what you might stock up on or not stock up on where you live. The first thing I'm going to talk about that I stock up on and how much I stock up on is toiletries. Now we're not great big users of toiletries. We use the basics: shampoo, hair conditioner, antiperspirant. I use some moisturizer, shower gel, hand wash and bars of soap. So when those come on deep discount, which they do in Lidl every now and then, for example, if they do their XL, it's a funny thing that Lidl do. They do like very big packs of the regular stuff they do. When they do their hand wash refills, then I buy those. But I don't go and buy like 10 of them. I only buy like 1 or 2 of them to keep me going, because Lidl have a very regular cycle of sales, a very regular cycle. So they'll do XL on frozen goods, XL on toiletries, XL on cleaning products. But at the moment, it seems to be toiletries that are on offer. And when they are, that's when I go and buy them. The other thing with Lidl is sometimes they have the copies of, or they won't say it's a copy of, would they, for legal reasons, but their antiperspirant is exactly the same smell and type as a brand. Now I know what they are, so when that comes out and it's not there all the time, and it's like €1.09 for a can of it, or it was, it's probably gone up, then I'll go and buy 3 or 4 of those. So when they have their offers, I do go and buy them. I never pay the full price. I would never ever pay €1.50 for a small pump of hand wash, a hand pump wash thingy. I will never pay the full prices for the bars of soap because sometimes they are really high. But when they are on offer, I buy a certain amount, but I'm not going to go and buy months and months and months worth because the sales will come round again. The next thing I want to talk about that I'm not stocking up on are the basics, and that's because they're never on sale. Flour is the same price in every supermarket I go to. It's about between 70 cents and 73 cents a bag. So I'm not stocking up because it's 2 cents less in another shop, because it has a shelf life of it between 6 and 12 months anyway. So I'm not stocking up on that. Things like butter. Butter is it's around $4.50 to $5.50 a kilo. It never drops below that. It's not going back to the old price of $3.50 a kilo. So if I saw it at €4 a kilo, I'm not going to stock up on that for the sake of 50 cents of it, because I don't use tons and tons and tons of it. What we are doing with butter is like World War II rationing in this house, is we use a lot less of it. We're putting very thin amounts of butter on our toast. I'm not using butter in cooking. If I'm going to saute something in butter, I now use half butter with a teaspoon of butter and a teaspoon of olive oil, just to make it go a bit further, but I still get the buttery taste. If I'm making cakes, for example, I will use vegetarian spread for that instead of butter. So the basics, I don't bulk buy the basics. I just buy them as I go along. Yes, they have gone up. Flour has gone up from 50 cents a bag up to 75 cents a bag. I don't see it coming down again quickly. I don't have the facilities or storage. Some people buy flour and freeze it. I don't have the facilities for that. So when you think of the everyday basics for baking and cooking, I don't buy those in a bulk. I buy those as I go along. As I said, don't have the storage. If they do go on sale, it's a couple of cents. If you're familiar with the channel, you'll know that I can't eat gluten. So I really do keep my eyes open for gluten-free products. And if you're like me and you're in a we don't eat gluten in France group, or you've got sort of friends who can't eat gluten, you know that the jungle drums go out when there are offers, and we brace ourselves and we get there quickly. Now, every now and then, Lidl sell gluten-free flour for €3 a bag, whereas normally gluten-free flour here for a brand in the supermarket is €6 a kilo. So I do stock up on that. It has a shelf life of about a year. I'll nip into Lidl. I usually buy about 6 bags at a time. Now, when it comes to things like other people might eat granola bars or buy cookies or those things, and when they come on offer, they might stock up on those. The gluten-free versions of that are never on offer. They just never are. So the one thing that I do with that is that every weekend we will have some baked treats. It might be some homemade chocolate biscuits, it might be some fruit muffins or anything like that. And the way I keep my prices low on that is all of those are homemade products. So if I make seed crackers or nut bars or anything like that, they are always homemade. I use the ingredients I have on hand, so I don't stock up on gluten-free biscuits or anything like that, but I certainly stock up on gluten-free flour and gluten-free pasta when it's on offer in Lidl, because it is half the price of a regular supermarket's branded products. So to save money on our supermarket bill, I make pretty much everything. So any of our baked goods, I make all of those, and that includes any pastry products. Yet I've never ever seen ready-made pastry shells that are gluten-free. I've just not seen them here. And the gluten-free ready-made pastry, you call it pie crust, is exorbitantly expensive. So I have a good crack at making it myself. And there are other gluten-free products that I buy. I buy oats. I know that's not suitable for celiacs, but I seem to get away with eating oats. I make my own oat flour. I grind it down to make sort of oatmeal biscuits. I buy buckwheat flour as well. It's called Saracen flour here. And I make gluten-free pancakes with that. So yes, there's things like that. I am very keen on those prices. And I know that things like buckwheat flour, Saracen flour can be extremely expensive. And when I see that on offer and discounted, maybe down to $1.80 a kilo, which is a very good price, then yes, I stock up on that. I'm checking the dates on that. I will buy about 6 to 12 months worth of that, put it away in a cool, dark cupboard. Don't put it in a damp cupboard, no good for your flour. Cool, dark cupboard, and I will put that away. Something else that is getting more expensive here because vegetable oil is expensive is vegetarian version of butter that I use. And that shot up in price. So when that is on offer, because it's in a nice neat tub, and I can stack away sort of 6 tubs of it at the back of the fridge, I will stock up on that because, like I said, I use that in baking, I use that to make pastry, I use it in bread products when I make those as well. So we know the cost of anything that is made has shot up in price. The cost of energy has impacted on that massively. So the cost of bread has got really high here. So bread that Mike eats, a regular loaf of bread, went from €1.09 to over €1.50, which is a massive increase. So I've just started making bread for Mike now. So a 75-cent bag of flour, I can make 2 loaves of bread out of that. So by the time I add in a packet of yeast with that, I'm making Mike a loaf of bread for around 40 cents instead of €1.50. You can add that up so easily. Gluten-free bread is really expensive here. It's about €4.50 a loaf. And the slices are teeny tiny. You know, it's not enough to make a sandwich with. You'd need, I mean, they are literally that big. They are tiny. So I have taken to making my own gluten-free bread as well. It works out about the same price per loaf, except the gluten-free bread that I make is twice the size. So if it's twice the size for the same money, it's half, let's call it half the price. So that's another thing I'm doing now. I'm using the bread machine and we're making our own bread. So when I buy the flour, it goes to good use and we're making our own bread. So whereas some people, if you can eat any bread and you have a chest freezer and energy is cheap where you are, who has cheap energy anymore? I don't know. Do you have cheap energy where you live that you can get the cheap reduced price bread at the end of the day and freeze it? Here, that would be offset by our high price of energy. So we don't do that. So what we're doing to save money because of those high prices of bread now is we're making it ourselves at home. So let's talk about meat. We are meat eaters and how we buy meat and when it's on offer and do we stock up on it. Okay, meat here seems to be on a rolling cycle of offers. There's always something on offer. It wasn't just before Christmas, but there does seem to be now we're back into the new year again. So if chicken's on offer, I buy plenty of chicken. And to get the good price, they usually put it in like a 3 to 4 kilo pack. And then I get it home, break it open, put that into bags and freeze it. So we have 4 supermarkets that we frequent here. So I will say it with an English accent, not the French pronunciation. So I have Lidl, Leclerc, Netto and Intermarché. And all of them have their online prospectuses with their offers and I check all of them. So I might, for example, go to Leclerc and buy my pork. I might go to Lidl and buy the chicken. I then might go to Netto and buy my beef, and I then might go to Intermarché to buy my braising steak. And if I drove to all of those without stopping, it would take me 5 minutes. So they're really close to each other. But the main place we buy meat, let's go through this. Let's just clarify this. Netto, Lidl, Leclerc, pretty much the same price. But if I can get to Lidl at 8:30 in the morning, I can and do grab their meat with stickers on it, which is 30% off. And I'm looking at those first. But there are things that we are doing. So when we look for the offers, if you look where the offers are, it's on the cheap cuts. We buy shoulder of pork, still with a bone in it. We buy belly pork, still with a bone in it. And those are our roasting joints. Those are the ones that we might make barbecue pork from, or pulled pork from, or lovely roasted pork with a crispy crackling on it. We buy casserole stew beef. We do not often buy minced beef, because here it'll say steak haché. It's ground steak. It's a better quality beef that has been minced, and you pay a premium price for it. But I know my prices, and if I see it and it's around the €10 mark for minced beef, ground steak, I will buy it. So how much do I buy at a time? I won't buy more than about 3 kilos worth at a time, which is about £6 in weight, because there's only the 2 of us. And I had someone said to me once, well, buy a freezer, buy a big freezer. That would be currently offset by the cost of running it. We did have a chest freezer with just the 2 of us. even with keeping bottles of water in it to reduce the mass and so on, it was still costing us more to run than we were saving by buying the discounts, because the discounts keep coming. So yes, I buy meat when it's on offer. I never buy it if it is not on offer. Never buy it on full price. I only buy the meat that's on offer. So if chicken's on offer, we're eating chicken. Pork is on offer, we're eating roast pork. See how it goes. But I must say, we got good prices on meat here in France. There is always something that's on offer. Next, let's talk about some more pantry stable, some shelf stable food and what is going up and what is not going up, what's not going down again. I think it's good for us all. I think we thrifty people all do this. We'll all have some tin stuff in our cupboard. Yes, it's good to buy dried beans, but you've got to cook them, and that offsets the savings because of the high energy costs. So I always keep pantry staples: chickpeas, kidney beans, white haricot beans, beans and tomato sauce, tinned green beans, tinned peas, tinned carrots, the absolute basics. And I also use quite a lot of tinned lentils. Saves me cooking them. I add them to many, many dishes. They went up. They were all around 75 cents a tin, 75 cents a can. They've all gone up to about 95 cents a can. They're holding there. I do keep a supply of it, but I don't keep like 10 or 15 cans of it. Yes, I do know the price is probably going to go up a bit more, but it's not doubling in price. It's not so massive in price that I will make any great savings by having tons of it. So, tinned meat, tinned fish, I keep all of that. That hasn't gone up as much as other things have. In fact, we've been told here in France that the price of that stuff has gone up because the price of making the tins has gone up. The price of running the factory to tin it has gone up more than the price of the goods that goes in the tins. Isn't that frustrating? So I keep a good stock of it. It doesn't often come on sale. If it is on sale, it's a higher price product than I would buy anyway. And I save money on that by buying the supermarket's own brands, and I mainly get those from Netto, Lidl and Leclerc. They're pretty much the same price. They're good enough products. I like them. We frugal people know it's good. Tuck a few tins away. I thought I'd share with you about our prices for fresh fruit and fresh vegetables and why we continue to buy predominantly fresh fruit and fresh vegetables. We had a really, really good season last year for anything that grows on a tree. Plums, pears, peaches, apples, all of those things. So they always obviously get stored in giant warehouses with carbon dioxide in them, and they are holding at a really, really good price. Pears, apples, all of those things are such a good price that we eat them on a very regular basis. All of our seasonal winter vegetables, they're doing okay. So things like Brussels sprouts, leeks, cabbages, winter kale, all of those things, they are really, really reasonable. And one of the ways that we continue to buy those at affordable prices here is that Mike and I pretty much just eat seasonally. And we eat the same vegetables all winter, and then we eat the same salad type stuff all summer. And so salad is really cheap in the summer, winter vegetables are really cheap in the winter. And we supplement them with a bit of like tinned peas, and we supplement with things like frozen green beans and frozen spinach. Those things, they are really, really affordable here. And we're stretching our budget because if you've seen when I share the meals of the week that we cook, pretty much 3/4 of our plate is vegetables. We fill up on that. They're healthy and they're good for us. Another thing that's holding its price here are eggs. Eggs here have always been about €3.50 for a dozen of eggs. They've gone up somewhere to €4, €4.50 for a dozen eggs. And you can still buy them at the market from local producers. And our eggs are very, very local. And I don't know how they're making any money on that, but they haven't gone up that much at all. And we're not seeing like the US prices where your prices for eggs have gone really, really crazy. So I've not yet got round to the need to do things like buy egg alternatives or any egg dried egg products or things like that, which I probably would if I was in America and paying your prices. So fruit veg, holding its own. We very much just go and buy fresh fruit and veg each week and fresh eggs each week. I'm giggling because Mike says this is one of my catchphrases, but as I say, I like to be reflective. Now, if I lived in the Pyrenees or I lived in the Alps here in France and I could get snowed in for weeks on end, I would have a much bigger stock of food and pantry staples, but I don't. I live up here in rainy, temperate Brittany, where we don't really get snow or bad weather or cut off or any of those things really, and the food can come through and the supermarkets are well stocked. And as I said, the sales come and go. But if I lived where I was up a mountain and I was going to get snowed in, it would be a different matter. If I had 8 children to feed and things came on offer and saving pennies here and there would add up with all of them, yeah, I would shop very, very differently. If energy was really cheap, which it isn't, I would have a freezer, and when meat was on offer or frozen vegetables were on offer, or I could process a load of fruit and get it in the freezer, then I would do that. But energy isn't cheap. So, and I used to have a freezer and it just didn't work out to be economical for us. So I hope I've explained there, what we stock up on and what we don't stock up on. Now, over to you. What do you stock up on where you are because of maybe your geography? What do you stock up on maybe because of the size of your family? What do you stock up on maybe because of your dietary issues like me? When I stock up on gluten-free flour or gluten-free pasta when it is on a massive discount. Just leaves me to say thank you to everybody who hits the like button. It's really helping to grow the channel. Thank you massively to all the subscribers, old and new. We've just passed 24,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. You are helping us get our frugal ways out there to the world. On behalf of Mike and myself, we'll see you again soon, and bye for now.